This video covers a preview into the membership. If you want to see what it's like and what it's about before you even sign up, I am going to show you. I'm right here on my homepage. Once you sign up for the membership, you are able to then log in. In this upper corner, there'll be a login option, and you'll see a library. There's also a link to the member library right at the top of the page once you've signed up. Inside the membership, there are two components that make up the membership currently: membership resources and community. The community doesn't get used for too much, but I'll show you what that's about because some do use it. And then there's the simple guide. The simple guide is a free frequently asked question. Everyone can access it, but if you join the membership and you don't already have the simple guide, it will show up with your membership. It's a great companion because it's got a lot of frequently asked questions and basic info. So if you're looking for something, take a few minutes and just go through the simple guide as well and see the categories and go through any questions there that you have. Any topic areas that you have questions about, go through those categories and see if there's information there that could be helpful. But you get so much more when you've joined the membership. So I'm going to go here into the resources. This is the main place that you would go when you're in the membership, and everything is kind of linked here all on one page. So you can just kind of come right into the resources area. At the very top over here on the left, I have where to start. So that video goes through, because my content can be overwhelming, there's a lot in here. This video goes through how to just get started without being overwhelmed, and where are the key things that most people are looking for when they first join. And then we've got questions, help, and coaching with, which are additional resources that you can access once you're in the membership, and I'm going to come back to that. And then I've got the next live call. So there are webinars every month, business topics, things that you need to know, because more than likely you did not go to business school, and that is why you have joined the membership. And so I have every January, we talk about like getting into tax season and what you need to know, what might have changed, what might be relevant to just kind of start off tax season. February through November, we just do general business topics, and every one of them is recorded. So when you join the membership, not only are you going to have access to future webinars, business topics, you are going to be able to watch any past recorded business webinar that might be helpful to you. If you go through this list, you'll see things like embracing failure, you'll see setting business goals, you'll see owner's pay, you'll see hiring outside professionals, starting and growing your business as two separate ones. These are usually up to 2 hours, so 1.5 usually to 2 hour presentations and Q&A. So there's a lot of information in each one of these. Budgeting, planning, and money trauma. That was a really good one. Cash management basics. I also take suggestions. For example, one time I was doing a webinar, and I mentioned in the webinar that I had overcome some of my hurdles, or most of my hurdles, to managing emails. I get somewhere between 50 and 100 emails in a day especially when things are busy. It could be more, and it was really difficult for me to manage that volume when I wasn't actually even good at managing my email before I had that kind of volume. So I did a little bit of research. I identified some tools that I might not have used myself and could put that together with the things that I learned and did and implemented, and we did a whole webinar on email management. My 2 requirements for a webinar is that it's going to be helpful to the entire membership group and that it's something that I know about. So you can go through and watch any of these recorded topics. So I mentioned February to November, we do these different business topics that you can see here. And then December, we wrap the year up by wrapping up your year-end numbers so that we're ready for January, preparing for tax season. In addition to that, before every estimated tax deadline, I do a Q&A, a live Q&A with no formal presentation, although I do answer questions and I can go through my estimated tax tutorial on that call. There are 4 estimated tax deadlines. You can read more about that in my free estimated tax blog. April, June, September, and then January is the end of the year. And so prior to each tax deadline, sometimes a couple days before, but usually within a week, I do a Q&A and you can join. I record them. Not that you're necessarily going to go watch all of the past estimated tax Q&As. However, if you missed it, you can come on that night, the next day before the deadline, and watch the Q&A related to that deadline. So we've got all these Q&As, all these presentations and topics. In addition to that, we have all the tutorials and handouts. For example, if you go under accounting and bookkeeping, I've got bookkeeping basics, the things that you need to know about basic accounting topics like car mileage, or having an accountable plan if you have employees, or if you have formed an S Corp and you are an employee, how recording payroll works if you have payroll, which can be kind of tricky. Even accountants can get it wrong. So having a nice little handout and the ability to ask questions about your specific payroll, even if needed, me looking at your payroll reports and helping you figure out how to record it in the particular system that you have chosen, is very helpful. We've got a video here on choosing an accounting system. So I walk through in this video the most common options that people choose. And then depending on what you want to choose, I've got two different spreadsheets you could pick from. I've got tutorials for setting up QuickBooks Online. You can set up your own using my videos. I've got overview of QuickBooks Self-Employed and Wave Apps, and some videos. Like if you go into Wave Apps, there's an overview, and then there's all these different tutorials that I've created because someone had a question, and I use my demo Wave or my demo QuickBooks Online to show, or the demo QuickBooks Self-Employed that QuickBooks gives you, to show how to do it, and then I put it up here so that other people who are using Wave or QuickBooks or a spreadsheet have a reference, and I step you through visually how to do it. We've got estimated taxes. I've got a bunch of tutorials on how to pay, what the rules are, how to read your tax return, which is really helpful to know if someone is doing your taxes, how to know that they did it correctly, that those numbers on the tax return, they really represent what happened in your life that year, and they should make sense. So how to walk yourself through that, and actually calculating your tax estimates. And I call it estimated taxes and decisions because it's also about deciding things. Should I elect S Corp? What will the tax savings be? Should I revoke my S Corp election? What will happen if I'm in a W-2 job right now? How much do I need to make in my business to go full-time in my business and quit my job? That spreadsheet estimates your taxes with your current scenario and then lets you input information for an alternative scenario and compare them. You can take my spreadsheet and put in your last year's taxes and split up the income and deductions and credits to see if you're filed jointly, who of the two of you overpaid or underpaid, who's responsible for the tax owed or the refund. And let me see, there's S Corp decision, there's alternative scenario, and married filing jointly. So there's a lot that you can do in that estimated tax. It can also help you decide. You can run scenarios. Well, what if I made this much? What would my tax be? What if I made this much? What would my tax be? Preparing for tax season, hiring. Even if you just formed an S Corp and you just need to hire yourself, how to choose a payroll processor. What are some of the options? If you're going to hire staff, what can you afford to pay them based on how much they're going to bring in revenue? If they're a revenue generating employee, what are you going to have to pay in payroll tax? That spreadsheet helps you figure this out. Owner pay, number of videos here for paying yourself, and a spreadsheet calculating how much to pay yourself. And if you're an S Corp, a spreadsheet to help calculate reasonable salary. We've got cash flow management, analysis and planning, budgeting is in there. A lot of things to determine what's your break-even number, how much do you have to have in, providing services or selling products to at least break even, and then the replays and a couple other things here. So I want to come back to asking questions. So these are all things you can do at midnight if you want, at 6 a.m, any time of day, on a Sunday. You can also, below every video or handout, you can ask questions. So you can post questions down here and I answer those questions. You can also use the community. So I mentioned at the beginning there's also a community. So if you go over to community, then there is a place to post questions. Now this doesn't get used that often because a lot of times the questions you're asking are very specific to your situation, and you don't necessarily want to post them in a public forum. And therefore, we have question forms. You can submit a question, ask a question free to members, no additional cost. Submit a question. If it's a research question, I usually answer research questions in a period of 2 to 6 weeks. Simple questions, I usually try to answer simple questions within 48 hours or so, but you can submit a question. You also, for free, no additional cost, for free meaning no additional cost in addition to the low cost membership. You're already paying to be in the membership, so you can ask unlimited questions. It doesn't mean I can do unlimited things, but it means you can certainly ask me unlimited questions, and you can ask for spreadsheet help. So let's say you're using my estimated tax spreadsheet or my hiring spreadsheet or one of my business analysis spreadsheets, and you're stuck or something doesn't look right, or you're using my basic accounting spreadsheet and you deleted some formula and you don't know how to get it back. You have access, once you're in the membership, for any spreadsheet I have added into the membership to say, help, this is the problem, and you submit the form and you let me know whether it's a Google sheet or Excel sheet. I give you a way to share that information securely with me so that you're not sending any financial data ever in email. And then I will usually, in most cases, send you back a video saying, here was the problem, here's how I fixed it in case it happens again, here's what you're gonna do. Or if you're stuck, let's say you completed the whole spreadsheet, but you're stuck and you're not sure what to do with the information. Like, this is what it says, but what does that mean? How much can I really afford to pay this person? Or what do I need to pay myself? You can ask those questions and I will help you interpret what the spreadsheet says. Then there are 2 things that currently are additional costs. One is coaching. So if you would like to set up a one-to-one coaching appointment, typically right now the wait is usually 2 to 3 months, depends on the time of year of course, but it's $150 for an hour. You can sign up for either a half hour or a full hour appointment. However, I will say there's so much content and available options with asking a question or asking for spreadsheet help that a lot of times you can really minimize or eliminate your need to pay for a coaching appointment because you can get that help without meeting one-to-one. But there are things that some people just need to sit and talk through together on Zoom. And so for that, we have a coaching appointment. We can make our time effective in that coaching appointment if there is something that you needed to know first, because we can talk about it ahead of time. We can look at your spreadsheet ahead of time. You could fill out the hiring spreadsheet and then we could meet to discuss it. But we don't have to spend a half hour of our hour filling out the spreadsheet because you already did that ahead of time, or you at least got it started. The other thing that is a paid service but at low cost, both of these are incredibly subsidized. If this was available outside the membership, they would be significantly higher cost. And that is setting up or assessing an accounting system. So let's say you use QuickBooks Online. Let's say you use QuickBooks Online or Wave Apps, for example. Those are 2 softwares. And you're using it and you looked at my overview and you just felt that you didn't want to do the setup yourself. The setup is a one-time thing. You don't set it up all the time. You don't set it up every year. You set it up once. So sometimes learning that skill to set it up the first time, you don't really have time or want to do that because you're never going to need to know that part again. So I will set it up for you for a fee. The current fee you can see on the screen, but I mean, it depends on when you join what the fee would be. That's the current fee. And then I give you a customized, personalized video on what I did and what you need to know going forward to maintain your system and basically how to use it. It's an individualized, personalized tutorial. Or let's say you have a system you've been using for a while and maybe it's messy or maybe you're really unsure whether it's being used correctly. You can sign up for an assessment. And in that assessment, I will go through your system. I will tell you what's working well. I will tell you what is a problem, what needs to be worked on. If it's a small error, it might be something I can just fix while I'm doing the video overview of your assessment. And if it is something that's going to be a longer term fix, then I give you some steps, things you can do, things I might be able to help you with. We might set up some coaching appointments to get you to the point where your accounting system is in good order. So these are additional member services. Now, people ask me sometimes, can I get any of these without joining the membership? And the answer is no, because 1, I don't have time to meet with everybody. So I have time to help and support the people who have joined the membership. And if I allowed everyone to sign up for a coaching appointment rather than waiting for 2 to 3 months. It could be 6 to 7 months or longer. And that's not helpful to a small business owner. You need timely help, and I want to provide timely help, which is why I have it structured the way that I have it structured. You also don't want to pay an arm and a leg, probably. And so by structuring it this way, I can keep the costs low. The other reason is that many times the topics that people need help with, we can minimize our coaching time by giving you access to those tutorials, to those spreadsheets, to at least look at it, to at least talk to me, submit a question, and I'll tell you this is what you need to get together, and then we can have a very efficient meeting. So there's a lot that can be discussed before or after a coaching appointment, and by only offering coaching to people in the membership, that membership fee then covers all of those potential discussions in addition to the actual paying for my time. All right, that is the main membership. I think I've covered pretty much everything that you can find in here, but if you still have questions, you can always ask about them in the Simple Guide, the free Simple Guide. You can ask there. If you are thinking of joining, there's a chat box down here. If you have a question about the membership or how it works, you can also submit a question there. All right, have a great day. Thanks.